So you're up in the trees and you're observing the scene, and it's just fresh and clean. Can you smell the air?
Mm-hmm.
What does the air smell like?
Maybe I've never been in such a peaceful, fresh. It's really very peaceful and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
New.
It's new. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a place that you recognize?
No.
No. Okay. Well, let's explore it a little bit. Do you feel anything? Like, does anything? What sensations do you have?
It's peaceful, but it's. I'm part of the scene. I don't seem to, have any legs or arms or anything.
Okay. Do you feel like maybe you're an element? Does that maybe feel right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So what kind of a element do you feel like? What do you think?
Well, it's like blending into everything. I mean, it's really strange.
Just enjoy the feeling. Enjoy how that feels.
There are no limits. Like there are limits to almost everything. In real life, I don't feel any limits.
So you feel like you're part of this
Mm-hmm.
scene. Like, could you maybe be the air or the energy?
Yes, like
Okay.
that.
Now, if you have a look around, you see
Mm-hmm.
these trees.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you see?
I see blue sky and I see white clouds,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not defined. It's not like in a painting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not defined.
Are they sort of blurred together in a way? Or?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah, they are blurred together.
So it's almost like the scene is created for you, or like by you, or it's being created?
I don't make any sense of it except that it's just peaceful and wonderful.
Beautiful. Yeah, let's not analyze it. We don't have to make sense of it.
I don't know. I've not been in anything like this before.
Let's enjoy this. Let's just enjoy what it feels like to be part of this beautiful
Mm-hmm.
piece.
Mm-hmm.
And allow yourself to just be moved in any way that it needs you to move. And tell me about the tree.
It's like a freshness.
Is it a very tall tree?
Well, it's not actually a tree. It's
Oh,
trees.
okay. It's trees. So like a forest? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a forest with
Uh-huh.
a path in the middle.
There's a path.
Yeah,
Okay.
a winding path that my eyes therefore can see
Uh-huh.
the sky and the clouds and everything.
Okay. Is it a natural path, or has it been
Natural.
sort of
totally.
traversed by
No.
creatures?
No.
Do you sense any creatures around you, or any entities, or anything like that?
No.
Feel your way around. No? Okay, so we're just surrounded by nature.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other things, like anything else but trees? What's the path made out of?
Well, none of it's clearly defined. It's all really muted,
Uh-huh. Okay.
but very fresh.
But very fresh. Do you get a sense what planet you're on? No?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I'm on anything.
You're not on anything? Okay.
I don't even know if these things are on anything.
Oh, okay.
I don't see a base to anything
Uh-huh.
or feel a base to myself
Yeah.
at all. I don't feel any definition of myself.
So it's all just sense.
Yep.
You just sense things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you sense a vastness, or is it enclosed?
No, it's fast. But it's because I say it's trees, there's no bottom of the trees.
Okay, so really it's just something that looks like trees, or resembles trees, or feels like a tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like, it's green, but it's cotton, it's
Mm-hmm.
light, it's,
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you get the sense that there's anything else there with you?
No, because I'm continuity somehow.
Uh-huh.
I can't find the ends to myself.
Beautiful. So what do you think is important about this scene?
It's brand new to me.
It's brand new.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of, it's without thought.
Uh-huh. Just is.
Mm-hmm. It's
Big-
very light. It's very light.
Okay.
Like weightless. Like,
Weightless. Okay.
it's, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem like it's matter.
Uh-huh.
I
Just
don't know
harmony.
what it is.
Just harmony.
Just, I don't know how to just it's there because it's an image, but it's not there because it has any substance or mass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something I've never thought like this, or, I've never been here before. In this state, I've never been.
Okay.
Maybe the closest word would be suspension, but if I'm suspended from something, and I don't see that I'm suspended from anything either.
Well, maybe you're just suspended in something.
Yeah.
Right now you feel very peaceful?
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Really peaceful.
If you'd like, and only if you'd like, you can press the little fast forward button. And you can kind of zoom ahead to see what happens next, what you experience next. Would you like to do that?
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and press that button and just watch the scene sort of unfold rapidly in front of you. And you can stop that fast forward button at any time. You can be in another reality of that, or another time, another place, whatever you need to see next. So wherever you're going, be there now. Do I have permission to ask some questions today?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, I know you could have shown images or scenes for her to see today. You chose to bring forward this life of this, it sounds like energy being. What was the point of, or why did you pick that particular scene to show her today? So that's like a energy place, more like source or closer to source. Okay. So you wanted to show it to her?
I wanted her to experience it.
Wow. Why? What is it supposed to do for her to experience it?
Connect.
Connect her?
Mm-hmm.
What is she connecting to?
Love.
Connect to love. Okay. Beautiful. So it really felt like in that place, it was sort of all was one, and everything was sort of undefined.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that?
It was really wonderful. I mean, it was beyond where I usually am aware.
Ah, okay. So it was more to experience the sort of that next level, or that different level. That's gorgeous. Okay. Is that also somehow tied into what we were talking about all being one?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that she's sort of stuck in a way of thinking, like her programming. She's becoming conscious of her programming.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, the easiest way is to label it critical analysis.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a view like I'm a flagpole, like I'm standing in a prescribed hole, unable to see any other perspective.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm critically analyzing as an automatic process.
What is the significance of the Asperger's? What is it supposed to teach her?
Stop listening to yourself and listen to me.
So from a subconscious perspective, what do you think is the need to have developed this rigid system for herself, and then now she has to break it apart?
Mm-hmm.
What's the purpose of that? What's that supposed to do for her?
To actually connect with other people as themselves.
So is it more about not necessarily doing things right, but connecting to the people instead, and who cares if it gets done wrong?
Which is very hard for me.
So why is it so hard for her? What happened, either early on in this life or in a past life, that would have made it so hard for her to just allow?
Because in my house with my dad, there was just a certain way that was acceptable and everything else wasn't.
She's more about the solution rather than the emotional relationships within that solution.
Well, and where I grew up, I mean, the environment There was a certain way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it. I see how it excludes me and leaves me alone and lonely.
Well, it also excludes the other. You know, if she's busy showing them how to do things better, then it alienates.
Yeah. And my mind is an automatic machine for that.
Mm-hmm. So now from a subconscious perspective, so even from a higher self, and I was taught the other day that the higher self and the subconscious are not necessarily the same thing. So are we allowed to speak to the higher self today as well?
Mm.
Would that be okay?
Mm.
So from a higher self perspective, what is the purpose of Asperger's today in the world?
They're strong enough and clear enough to choose for themselves and to stand their ground.
I see.
And to express authentically who they are.
And how does that relate to someone who has autism? Who are these beings? Who are these children? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Unique.
They're unique. Okay. So they don't go with the system. They have a unique system.
They're embarrassing.
They're embarrassing, so they make people uncomfortable with...
They do.
With their...
Yeah.
They sort of make people uncomfortable with their rules, don't they? Because they feel like, oh, this rules breaking, and so they make people uncomfortable in that way.
Yeah. And I think it's a way of being.
Okay.
I think it's a way of reacting.
What purpose does autism serve in today's world? What changes will it bring about?
It'll wake people up.
It'll wake people up.
Mm-hmm.
So what changes will Asperger's bring about?
I think it'll knock people off their axis.
Okay, so they're both of these are just designed to bring about change. People have to let go of their rigid rules and just simply change the system. Now, are any of these changes at all related to, say, schizophrenia, or is that something completely different in terms of the purpose of it in today's world?
Well, we try to obliterate all of it. We try to obliterate schizophrenia.
Why?
That's the thought, is not have it be.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
So what was the purpose of it? What was actually happening to those beings? Now you look from a soul perspective, as the subconscious, as the higher self. What connect with that? What was the purpose of schizophrenia? Were their souls trying to... What were the souls trying to accomplish? Everything serves a purpose.
Well, sometimes there's varying degrees of presentness. So if there's no mistake, there's some reason.
Are there any guides or any angels we might be able to ask? Do you sense anyone around you? No. Okay, that's all right.
I have no idea. I have no reality on schizophrenia except with that diagnosis is like a A-bomb.
So that's the association
that
we've
word.
made with it. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Now, can you tell me, with the last sort of timeline shift, what was happening there? We're all aware of it. What is that?
We're all aware of what?
The timeline shifts, the Mandela effect. What is that?
A new reality.
It's just a new reality?
An awakening.
An awakening.
That will bring about a whole new... Well, I know it's overused, but like a transformation means a real literal shift. Not a change, but...
So like a big bump to the system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is badly needed, I think.
Yeah.
But.
So how did it affect people? Have there been changes to people's structure with this last bump?
Oh, I see I see where you are there.
Do you sense that there's a shift in people?
Well, it must be how it has to happen. would have to have a change in how people showed up.
Mm. Do their bodies change? Do their DNAs change?
Has to.
Okay. So it's these reality shifts or these timeline bumps that's what's going to bring about real change, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because more and more people are awake during each bump, and more people seem to be conscious of the bumps each time there's a timeline shift. Mm-hmm. So that's not a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, in fact, my favorite flower is right outside your door. Mm-hmm. And I tried, and it's harder in my past paradigm for the pink flower to grow than the yellow one. And I like the pink one. I have tried to grow that plant in at least 3 locations in direct sunlight. One of them is actually right here. And I had no success, thereby deciding it couldn't grow there. Yet it's growing there. It's not only growing there, it's flourishing there.
So there's been a change in the consciousness and in the vibration of things, and some of these flowers and things are now allowed to thrive because they're a better match to things, aren't they? They were sort of at some point transported into those lower dimensions, but it really wasn't for them. Okay.
I mean, it's I love seeing it, but the way I'm seeing it is from a past of impossibility.
And now it's happening. Interesting.
It's lovely.
So can you give us any...
But that's an example of the transformation. That's a huge transformation because it is not the dirt, it's not the pot, it's not the place.
Just the energy. Can you give us any more hints on how to continue to grow this energy and continue to keep rising in dimensions and that sort of thing? Because I can only assume that if we find ourselves in new higher dimensions, the lower dimensions went somewhere. So some people or some souls are staying in that lower dimension. I don't want to dwell on the lower dimensions, but what's happening in them?
How does the bump show up for people? I mean, does it show up and people don't see it? They have to knock into it somehow. They have to be knocked into it. I think it's like that.
So what happens in the lower dimensions, the people that find themselves in the lower dimensions?
They're blinded to it? Right, they're blinded to options until they bang into them.
Okay. And so tell me, every time there seems to be a dimension, this might just be my observation, but it feels like a lot of people depart. So a lot of people suddenly pass, and animals pass, and just a lot of beings depart.
Okay.
What can you tell me about
Well, I'm sure that's true because that would be in the greater plan of things. What would happen, it's like slough off. How would you make that transformation without slough off?
So in your reality, if that person had to go as part of your reality because you know them to exist, in your reality they would have had to pass in order for you not to notice so much that a huge change has occurred. But they're maybe thriving in the lower realms.
That's interesting. I didn't put that together like that, but I can see it when you describe it.
Okay.
I have trouble with passing as slough off because my mother always looked at it as graduation. My mother looked at the possibility of living in this universe as the hellhole of the universe. I mean, she had fun playing with that.
Yeah.
And it helped her, I think. She was not hanging on to staying here.
But I would also wonder if some people if you bump into this new reality, some people would be a match to a much higher reality, and therefore they would also have to pass in wherever you ended up, just like some people would end up in a lower reality and therefore would have to pass in the reality that you've ended up. So it could be slough off just as much as it could be a graduation. It just really depends on which reality they are a match to versus you. Are there any other questions I could have asked today that I didn't? Are there any other messages or comments or anything that you have for us today. Let's do a little body scan today. Would that be all right? Let's do a body scan. What do you see? Do you see any gray areas or any areas that we need to have a look at?
You know, I am so happy that my eye is actually a miracle. The fact that I have such good vision in my right eye should never have happened in the real world, in the world of the past. So, and I have to think that it was your work with me. I mean, we got prepared for it, and we just went in and it happened. And I got the same vision back that I had before I had a problem.
That's beautiful.
It really is.
Is there anything else that we need to say today?
Thank you.
No? Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So now I'm going to ask the subconscious to recede to where it belongs.